The battle had ended, but the echoes of war still lingered in the air like smoke that refused to fade. The alien medical bay, usually calm and quiet, now pulsed with urgency. The silver walls glowed softly with sterile light. The air filled with the low hum of machines and the scent of antiseptic herbs from distant worlds. Alien healers moved quickly, their tall forms gliding across the floor with graceful efficiency. And then, the silence broke. The heavy doors at the end of the chamber slid open with a hiss and soldiers entered carrying something. No, someone. It was a human. His name was Mark, though the healers did not know it yet. To them, he was simply the Terran soldier. His uniform, dark blue and torn by fire, clung to his battered body. His skin was pale, streaked with blood, dirt, and ash. One arm hung uselessly at his side, and his chest rose and fell in shallow, desperate breaths. His boots left a faint trail of crimson across the polished floor. For a moment, all movement in the room stopped. Alien eyes, large and crystalline, turned toward the sight. They had read about humans in their records, seen images on their data screens, even whispered stories about their reckless courage and brutal wars. But this was different. This was real. One of them stood, struggled to breathe, before their very eyes. Dr. Sira was the first to move. She was the lead physician, respected for her calm precision and unshakable dedication. Her form was slender, her skin a soft shade of silver that shimmered in the light. She approached with measured steps, though her heart beat faster than she wished to admit. "Place him here," she ordered softly, pointing to the central medical table. Her voice carried no fear, only urgency. The soldiers obeyed, lowering the human carefully onto the platform. As they stepped back, the table came alive. Glowing arcs of energy scanned his broken body, displaying shifting holograms in the air above. Organs, bones, blood vessels. The human form unfolded in light for all to see. Gasps rippled through the alien healers. His skeletal structure. "So dense," one whispered. "The heart, it beats louder than ours," another murmured. "Impossible stamina," said a third. Dr. Sira ignored their voices and focused on the man before her. She leaned close, her long fingers brushing against his wrist. His pulse was strong, irregular, but refusing to fade. She pressed her palm lightly against his chest. Beneath bruised skin and broken ribs, she felt a force that astonished her. His heart hammered like a drum of war, each beat declaring, "I am not finished yet." Her assistants exchanged uncertain glances. To them, he looked fragile, almost pitiful, a small creature compared to their tall, elegant kind. Yet there was something unsettling about him. His body seemed both breakable and indestructible at once, as if nature had built him for the edge of survival. "Is he dangerous?" one asked quietly. Another tilted their head. "Or already dying?" Dr. Sira lifted her gaze. "He is a patient. That is all. Prepare the stabilizers." The healers moved, bringing sleek instruments from the walls. A soft blue light bathed the human, slowing the bleeding, knitting torn flesh and numbing pain. Still his body twitched as if even unconscious he fought against weakness. His brow furrowed, lips parting as if trapped in some dream of battle. Dr. Sira studied the scans above. She had seen many species in her career, frail ones who lived in peace, armored ones who thrived in conflict, even energy beings who carried life in luminous shells. But never had she seen something quite like this. Humans, she knew, came from a world of storms and fire where predators lurked and climates shifted violently. Evolution had been cruel to them, shaping them not for comfort but for endurance. And now one of those survivors lay before her. She leaned closer, speaking softly, though she knew he could not hear. "You fought for us, didn't you? That is why you bleed on our floor." The memory of the battle was still fresh in her mind. The Allied fleets had been ambushed above the moon. Her people were healers, diplomats, thinkers, not warriors. They had been overwhelmed, their ships burning. And then the humans came, small ships, rough and simple compared to alien craft, but flown with a recklessness that bordered on madness. They dove into the fire, shields sparking, guns blazing. The humans had not fought for themselves. They had fought for everyone, and this one, this soldier, had been at the front. Dr. Sira's fingers tightened slightly on his wrist. She could feel his life slipping between her hands, yet refusing to let go. She looked at her assistants and said firmly, "Keep him alive. No matter what it takes." One of them hesitated. "Doctor, his biology is unstable. His systems burn too hot too fast. We may not be able to sustain him." "Then we learn," Sira answered. Her voice carried the weight of command. Today we learn what it means to heal a human. The machines hummed louder as they obeyed her. Needles of light sank into his veins, feeding oxygen-rich compounds. Bone stabilizers wrapped around fractured ribs. A soft mist cooled his fevered skin. Slowly, the ragged sound of his breathing grew steadier. Sira allowed herself a breath of relief, though doubt whispered at the back of her mind. Could this fragile, chaotic being truly survive? And if he did, what would it mean for them all? She looked once more at his face. His features were harsh, rough in a way alien forms never were, but there was strength there too, written in the lines of his jaw and the scars etched across his skin, a strength born not of design but of struggle. As the healers worked, the room fell quiet again. The human's chest rose and fell in steady rhythm now, each breath a silent victory. Dr. Sira stood beside him, silver eyes reflecting the faint glow of machines. She whispered to herself, though none around her understood. This human is not just a patient. He is a sign, a reminder that even in the darkest fire, some lives refuse to break. And so beneath the hum of alien machines and the silent gaze of crystalline eyes, the human soldier lay, broken, bleeding, but not defeated. The story of his survival had only just begun. The alien medical bay was quiet except for the soft rhythm of machines and the low whispers of healers moving around the hum. And Dr. Sira stood at the center, her silver hands gliding over controls, adjusting the scanners that hovered above Mark's body. Hours had passed since his arrival, and still she found herself staring at the glowing images projected in the air. His organs, his bones, the very structure of what he was. Strange, she murmured. Her assistants tilted their heads toward her, waiting. So fragile in some places, yet impossibly strong in others. The hologram rotated slowly, a rib broken but already trying to knit itself together, blood vessels that sealed themselves faster than expected, a heart that continued to thunder, strong and angry, as though it refused to be silenced. The alien healers leaned closer, studying in awe. "Doctor," one whispered, "look at the density of the muscles. For a species of their size, this is unnatural," another added, "and the heart. It pumps as though it fuels fire instead of flesh. How can such a small being carry so much power inside?" Dr. Sira nodded but did not speak. Her gaze followed the lines of light across the human form, tracing each system carefully. She had treated many species, yet none had unsettled her the way this one did. It was not simply the biology. It was the story that biology told. Humans were survivors. Every part of their body screamed it. Their bones were designed to break and heal quickly. Their muscles, woven tightly, carried endurance beyond logic. Their blood clotted faster, sealing wounds before life slipped away. And beneath it all, their nervous system burned with energy, reacting faster than most species could comprehend. But then came the moment that made her stop. The scanner shifted lower, mapping the anatomy she had only studied in sterile reports. Her eyes widened. Her assistants fell silent, unsure how to react. Dr. Sira leaned in, studying carefully. It was not only the physical size that shocked her, though it was far greater than she expected. It was the density, the vascular system, the sheer adaptation of it. This was no mistake of nature. It was designed through struggle, a biology built for survival, reproduction, and endurance. Her hand trembled slightly, though she quickly steadied it. This is beyond what the data suggested," the assistants whispered nervously. One said, "Perhaps this is why their species spread so fast. Their design is overwhelming." Another frowned. "Overwhelming or dangerous? Look at it. Everything about their body is extreme. Too much." Dr. Sira silenced them with a gesture, but her own thoughts swirled. She had always believed in balance, in the careful harmony of biology. Her people were shaped by gentle evolution, crafted to exist peacefully with their environment. But humans, they were forged in fire. Nothing about them was balanced. They were storms given flesh. She looked at Mark again. Even in unconsciousness, his body twitched, muscles tightening as though he was still fighting battles in dreams. Sweat beaded on his brow. His lips parted to whisper sounds she could not understand. She lowered her voice, speaking as though to herself. "What world made you? What pain shaped your kind into this?" The human stirred faintly, his hand twitching. The machines beeped softly in response, but he did not wake. Her assistants turned away, murmuring. Some were fascinated, others uneasy. One young healer finally asked, "Doctor, should we fear them?" Dr. Sira hesitated. Her silver eyes lingered on the hologram, on the strength of his organs, on the force of his heart. She thought of the battle above the moon, of how the humans had arrived not to conquer but to save. She thought of their small ships diving into fire, reckless but brave. "No," she said at last. "Do not fear him. But do not underestimate him either. His kind are not like us. They are born for struggle, and in that struggle they find their purpose." The words lingered in the room like heavy air. She turned back to her work. With careful precision, she adjusted the regeneration fields, watching his wounds close slowly. His skin resisted yet accepted their alien medicine. It was as if his body wanted to fight even the healing process, demanding to repair itself on its own terms. Hours passed. The healers came and went, but Dr. Sira remained. She studied him not just as a patient, but as a puzzle, a mystery wrapped in fragile flesh and relentless endurance. And as the silence deepened, a thought began to grow in her heart. If one human could fight so fiercely, could survive wounds that would kill most species, what would happen when more of them came? What if their kind spread farther into the galaxy, carrying their fire with them? Would they bring salvation or ruin? She did not know. But she knew one thing. This single human, broken and bleeding on her table, carried within him the answer to a question her people had never dared to ask. She reached out, brushing his forehead with a cool hand. His skin was hot, fevered, but alive. "You confuse us," she whispered. "But perhaps you will also teach us." The human stirred again, his lips moving faintly. A single word slipped out, cracked and weak, but full of meaning. "Fight." Dr. Sira froze. The machines confirmed he was still unconscious, yet the word was clear. Not a plea, not a cry, a promise. Her chest tightened. She looked at her assistants and spoke firmly. "This one must live, no matter the cost. He is not finished yet." And deep within, though she would never admit it aloud, Dr. Sira felt something she had never felt for a patient before. Not just curiosity, not just duty, but respect. For in that fragile body lay a force larger than science could measure, and it terrified her, and it amazed her. The human slept, but the room around him did not rest. The alien medical bay glowed with soft silver light, machines humming quietly as they worked to keep his fragile body steady. Every rise and fall of his chest seemed louder than the machines themselves, as though his breathing carried a rhythm the room could not ignore. Dr. Sira stood close, her silver eyes fixed on the patient. She had not moved from his side for hours, and her assistants knew better than to disturb her. Yet whispers still rose in the background, faint but persistent like shadows creeping across the walls. One assistant whispered, "He is dangerous. Look at him, his biology is chaos." Another added, "Chaos leads to destruction. His kind burn too bright. They cannot last." A third, younger one asked timidly, "But he fought for us, did he not? Should we not honor that?" Their words pressed against Sira's thoughts, but she did not reply. She kept her gaze on the man before her, watching the way his body twitched as though even sleep could not quiet the battles inside him. The scans above the table showed his systems in motion. The heart beat faster than alien hearts ever could. The lungs pulled in air with fierce rhythm, almost desperate. His muscles, though wounded, tried to hold tension even in rest. It was as if his entire being rejected weakness. Sira pressed her palm gently against his chest. Beneath her hand, the heart hammered on, steady and loud. It was not the fragile rhythm of a patient near death. It was the stubborn defiance of a fighter refusing to yield. Her lips parted and a quiet thought escaped. He should not be alive, yet he refuses not to be. The assistants heard her and exchanged glances. One older healer shook his head. "Doctor, you must see reason. This is not balance. This is violence written into flesh. If more of his kind come, they will spread that violence across the stars." Sira's eyes narrowed. "And yet it was that very violence that saved us. Do you forget so quickly? Without him, without his people, we would not be speaking here now." The assistant lowered his gaze but did not argue further. Still, Sira felt the seed of doubt growing inside her. She had always trusted balance, harmony, and order. Her people believed life must flow gently, like a river following its path. But humans, they were not rivers. They were storms. They clashed against obstacles, broke them apart, and carved their own paths through stone. Was that strength, Or was it madness? Her eyes drifted to his face. His brow was furrowed, lips moving faintly as though whispering to ghosts only he could see. She leaned closer and caught fragments of sound, words too broken to be clear but carrying weight. Hold the line, not yet. Keep fighting. Even in dreams, he battled. She pulled her hand back slowly, unsettled by the fire she felt in him. What world made you this way? She asked quietly. What kind of life breeds such defiance? Her people had never known worlds like Earth. They had evolved on a planet of calm skies, fertile lands, and gentle climates. There was no need for such harshness, no need for survival at all costs. But humans, they had been forced to endure storms, predators, famine, and endless wars. Their bodies carried scars from an ancient struggle with the universe itself. Perhaps that was why they frightened her. Because they were not just flesh, they were history. Every wound in their bloodline had shaped them into something that could not be broken easily. Her assistants returned to their duties, but the whispers did not leave her ears. Unstable, too dangerous. A mistake to keep him alive. Sira turned, her silver cloak shimmering as she faced them. Listen to me, she said, her voice firm but calm. Yes, he is different. Yes, his kind are dangerous. But remember, he fought for us. He bled for us. He could have left us to die, but he chose not to. Is that danger? Or is that honor? Silence followed. None dared to argue with her directly, but their unease remained, heavy as smoke in the room. Sira returned to the table, her thoughts heavy. She brushed a strand of pale hair behind her ear and sighed softly. She was a doctor, not a warrior. Her duty was to heal, not to judge. Yet this patient demanded more than medicine. He demanded understanding. She leaned forward again, studying the scans. She noted the fractures in his ribs, the strain in his muscles, the way his nervous system flickered with restless energy. Any other species would be unconscious for weeks after such injuries. Humans, it seemed, refused to rest even when broken. Her chest tightened. She whispered, though only the machines heard. You confuse me, human. You frighten me. But still, I respect you. Hours later, as the alien night cycle deepened, the medical bay quieted. Assistants rested, machines dimmed to softer tones. Yet Dr. Sira remained. She could not bring herself to leave his side. Her eyes lingered on the rise and fall of his chest, the stubborn rhythm of his breath. She remembered the battlefield. Ships burning, her people screaming, death descending like fire from the stars. And then the humans arrived. Small, reckless ships darting into impossible fights, their pilots shouting, their weapons blazing. They fought like they had nothing to lose, yet everything to protect. That was what unsettled her most. Humans did not fight for survival alone. They fought for others. Even now, this man lay broken because he had chosen to fight for lives not his own. Her heart ached in a way she did not expect. She had never felt this for a patient before. It was more than duty, more than curiosity. It was gratitude. She bowed her head slightly, whispering to him as though he could hear. Sleep, warrior. Rest, stubborn heart. You gave us time to breathe. For that we owe you more than life. The human shifted faintly, his hand twitching toward her as though reaching out. For an instant she thought his eyes might open, but they did not. Instead, his lips parted and one faint word slipped through. Alive. Her breath caught. Yes, she thought. You are alive, and perhaps through you we will learn what it truly means to live. But deep inside, the doubt still whispered. What if the galaxy was not ready for humanity's fire? What if this strength, this storm, could not be contained? Sira pushed the thoughts aside and steadied herself. She was a healer, and this human was her patient. Whatever the galaxy thought of his kind, she would see him through this battle. For in his heartbeat she heard not destruction, but hope. The human's dreams were not peaceful. They were full of fire and screams, broken ships falling into endless void. Mark's body twitched on the alien medical table, muscles tightening as if his soul was still caught in battle. His lips moved, whispering fragments, orders, pleas, promises. Dr. Sira stayed near him, her eyes never leaving his face. She had seen patients fight for their lives before, but never like this. Most beings surrendered to sleep, letting the healers guide them back. But this human fought even against unconsciousness, his mind refusing to let go of the war. For long hours, the medical bay glowed softly. Machines hummed, assistants moved quietly, and above it all his heartbeat thundered steady and strong. Then, As if the universe held its breath, his eyes flickered open. They were not like alien eyes. No smooth crystal glow, no polished silver sheen. His were raw, sharp, alive with color, a deep brown that seemed to carry fire within. He blinked slowly, disoriented, his gaze shifting across the glowing walls until it landed on her. Dr. Sira leaned forward, her voice calm but gentle. "You are safe. You are in our medical bay." Mark's throat was dry, his voice rough. "You saved me?" She hesitated only a moment before nodding. "Yes, we treated your injuries. You should not be awake yet. Your body needs rest." A faint smile tugged at his lips, though it was heavy with pain. Rest isn't something humans are good at. The words surprised her. Not just because he spoke with humor despite his wounds, but because he admitted his own truth so easily. She tilted her head. "Your kind does not rest?" He chuckled weakly, the sound breaking into a cough. "Not when others need us. Not when the fight's still going." Dr. Sira's silver brows furrowed. She studied him carefully, uncertain if this was stubbornness or something deeper. "You risked your life for us," she said softly. "Why, you could have stayed away. You could have left us to fall." His gaze grew distant. He stared past her as though looking into memories no one else could see. When he spoke, his voice was softer, almost fragile. "Because you needed help. And that's what we do. We fight for others, even when it hurts." The room was silent. Even the assistants, who had been whispering their doubts earlier, froze at his words. There was no arrogance in them, no demand for recognition. Only truth spoken from a heart that had bled for strangers. Sira felt her chest tighten. She had heard stories of humans being reckless, violent, too wild to trust. Yet here was one, broken and battered, speaking not of conquest but of duty. "You confuse us," she admitted quietly. "Your body, your will, everything about you feels too much. We do not know if it is strength or danger." Mark turned his head slightly, his brown eyes meeting her silver ones. "It's both," he whispered. "That's the truth about humans. We're dangerous, yeah, but not just to others, to ourselves too. We push too far, burn too bright. But sometimes—" His voice cracked, but he forced the words out. "Sometimes that's what it takes to protect someone else." Sira had no reply. Her assistants shifted uneasily, their crystalline eyes reflecting doubt, but also something new. A flicker of respect. The human closed his eyes briefly, his body trembling from the effort of speaking. Sira reached out instinctively, placing her hand gently on his arm. His skin was rough, scarred, warm with fever. He opened his eyes again at her touch, and for a moment there was no alien and no human, only healer and patient, only two lives bound by survival. "Rest now," she told him softly. "You have done enough." But he shook his head faintly. "Not yet, tell me. How many made it? Your people. Did they survive?" Her throat tightened. The battle had cost much. Many ships had been destroyed, lives scattered into the void. Yet because of the humans, many had also lived. She answered honestly. "More than we feared. Fewer than we hoped. But enough. Because of you." Mark exhaled slowly, relief flickering across his tired face. "Good, and then it was worth it." Sira's silver eyes widened. "Worth it? You nearly died." "Yeah," he said, voice weak but steady. "But if they're alive, then it's worth it. Always." The words echoed in her chest long after they were spoken. She had lived her entire life believing in harmony, in preserving life, in avoiding struggle. Yet here lay a being who accepted pain and death without fear, so long as others could live. It was a philosophy she did not understand, and yet she could not deny its power. Her assistants shifted again, whispering to one another. Some still feared his kind, but she could see the way their eyes lingered on him now, less with suspicion, more with wonder. Mark's eyes fluttered closed, exhaustion overtaking him once more. But before sleep claimed him, he murmured, "Thank you, Doc, for fixing me, for seeing me." Dr. Sira sat back slowly, her gaze lingering on him. She whispered almost to herself, "Not just fixing you, but learning from you." For in that moment she realized something profound. The human size, his strength, his strange and overwhelming anatomy, it was not chaos. It was survival. It was sacrifice carved into flesh, and behind it all was a heart willing to bleed for others. The galaxy had feared humans for their violence, but perhaps it was their compassion hidden beneath scars that made them truly dangerous. As the human's breathing steadied into sleep, Dr. Sira remained by his side, silver eyes reflecting the dim light. She no longer looked at him as just a patient. She looked at him as a symbol, of fire, of risk, of hope. And she whispered into the quiet, "Perhaps your kind is not here to destroy us. Perhaps you are here to remind us what courage really means." The hum of the machines filled the silence again. The alien healers worked in soft motions, but their hearts carried the weight of his words. The human slept, but his presence was louder than any voice, and in that silence, the first bridge between two species had been built. The human slept deeply now, his body slowly rebuilding itself. The alien medicine knitted his wounds, cooled his fever, and steadied his pulse. Yet even while resting, he looked nothing like the fragile patients Dr. Sira was used to. His body seemed to carry tension always, as if he could spring awake at any moment to fight again. Dr. Sira stood beside his bed, her hands clasped behind her back. She had spent days studying him, not only through machines but through quiet observation. She had watched how quickly his skin sealed, how his broken bones responded to treatment, how his body resisted weakness as though defiance itself ran through his veins. It was not only biology. It was will. She remembered his words before he drifted into sleep. "If they're alive, then it's worth it." Those words had cut into her heart more deeply than any scan could. She had dedicated her life to saving lives, but never had she met someone so willing to sacrifice his own without hesitation. Her people valued harmony. They avoided extremes. They sought peace. Yet this human seemed to embody contradiction itself, fragile yet unbreakable, reckless yet loyal, dangerous yet protective. And for the first time in her long career, Dr. Sira felt humbled by her patient, but not everyone shared her thoughts. The medical council had gathered that evening in the observation hall. The room was wide and bright, its walls glowing faintly with silver light. Around a long curved table sat the senior healers, their eyes like polished crystals, their faces calm yet stern. Dr. Sira stood before them, her cloak brushing the floor as she bowed. "You've studied the human?" one asked, his voice cold but curious. "Yes," Sira replied. "He is stable now. His body continues to recover at a pace faster than expected. Already he regains strength." A murmur passed through the room. Some nodded in awe, others frowned in worry. "Tell us plainly, doctor," another healer said. "What do you make of his kind?" Sira hesitated. She remembered Mark's fire, his stubborn words, his unwavering heartbeat. She chose her words carefully. "They are resilient, built for struggle. Everything in their form is designed to endure hardship and rise again." The council members shifted. Some exchanged glances. The oldest among them leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "Resilient, yes. But do you not see the danger? Such bodies, such minds, they are not balanced. They are weapons, doctor. Weapons wearing flesh." Sira's chest tightened. She had expected this. "They are more than weapons," she argued. "They fight not only for themselves. They fight for others. I saw it. I treated one who nearly died not for his own people but for ours. Or perhaps," another interrupted, "he fought to gain your trust, to plant the seeds of reliance. Imagine an entire species like him spreading through the stars. Do you not see how dangerous that is?" The whispers grew louder, a storm of fear filling the room. Sira raised her hand, silencing them. "Yes, they are dangerous. I will not deny that. But so is fire. Fire destroys, yes, but it also warms. It protects. It gives life in darkness. To fear fire is natural, but to understand it, that is wisdom." The council grew silent. Her words hung heavy in the air. Finally, the eldest healer spoke again. "And if you are wrong? If this fire consumes everything?" Sira lowered her head, her silver eyes glimmering. "Then at least we will have tried to understand rather than condemn without knowing." The council dismissed her after long debate, their faces unreadable. She left the hall with her heart heavy but her mind clear. When she returned to the medical bay, Mark was awake. He sat upright, though weakly, his hand pressed against his side. His eyes lifted as she entered, and for the first time, she saw gratitude shining there. "You look tired, Doc," he said softly, his voice still rough but warmer than before. She gave a faint smile. "I could say the same of you." He chuckled weakly, then winced at the pain. "Guess we're both stubborn." Sira moved closer, adjusting the monitors around him. "The council fears you," she admitted. Mark raised an eyebrow. Can't blame them. I'm a stranger, and humans aren't exactly known for being gentle. She looked at him intently. And what do you say? Are you gentle? He paused, then gave a small, honest nod. When we can be. But when we can't, we fight. We fight because someone has to. Those words struck her deeper than she expected. He did not pretend his kind were perfect. He admitted their flaws openly without shame. And yet within that honesty she found trust. Sierra lowered her voice. They call your kind dangerous. Mark met her gaze, his brown eyes steady. We are. But sometimes danger is what keeps the darkness away. Silence stretched between them, filled only by the soft hum of machines. Sierra felt a strange warmth in her chest, a feeling she could not easily name. It was not fear anymore. It was something heavier, something closer to Hop. Mark leaned back against the table, closing his eyes. His breathing slowed, but a faint smile touched his lips. Maybe courage is all we really have. For a long while they stayed in quiet. Alien healer and human soldier bound by wounds, doubt, and something deeper. Dr. Sierra no longer saw him as chaos. She saw him as a mirror, reflecting not only humanity's strength but also the galaxy's fears, and in her heart a decision formed. She would protect him no matter what the Council said, for through him, she felt the universe whispering a truth. Sometimes the greatest danger is not fire itself but living without its light. Mark was healing faster than anyone had expected. His strength returned, his wounds closed, and his eyes once more carried that sharp, restless fire. He could sit upright now without pain. He could even walk slowly, though Dr. Sierra kept warning him not to push himself too far. But his recovery brought no peace. Instead, it brought fear. The Council had summoned her again. This time the air in the chamber felt heavier, like judgment itself weighed on her shoulders. The senior healers sat tall in their seats, their crystal eyes watching her every move. One of them spoke coldly. Dr. Sierra, we have considered your reports. The human's body is too resilient, too adaptive. Already he is stronger than before. We cannot ignore the threat this represents. Another added, our archives hold records of violent species. Their strength always leads to war. Shall we let history repeat itself? Sierra's chest tightened. She bowed respectfully, but her voice was firm. He is not history. He is here now, and he is more than violence. I have spoken with him. I have seen his heart. The eldest healer's voice cut like ice. He is still a danger. Our decision is made. The human will be transferred from your care. He will be placed under guard and containment. The words struck her like a blade. Her hands trembled, though she forced them still. Containment? She repeated, disbelief burning in her throat. Until we understand his kind better, the elder replied. It is for our safety. Sierra wanted to shout, to protest, but their eyes told her the decision was final. She left the hall with a storm inside her chest. When she returned to the medical bay, Mark was sitting on the edge of his bed, watching her carefully. He must have seen the tension in her shoulders. What happened? He asked quietly. She stopped, unable to meet his gaze. Her silver eyes shimmered with conflict. At last she said, they want to move you. Into containment. Mark gave a bitter laugh. Figures. Can't say I blame them. Humans don't exactly look harmless. Her heart ached at his calmness. No, you don't understand, she said quickly, stepping closer. They don't see what I see. They don't see the man who risked his life for strangers. They see only danger. He tilted his head, watching her carefully. And you? What do you see, Doc? Her lips parted, but no words came. She wanted to say hope. She wanted to say friend. She wanted to say something more. But the words stuck in her throat. Instead, she whispered, I see fire that warms, not fire that destroys. Mark blinked, then smiled faintly. That's kinder than I deserve. Before she could respond, the door slid open. 2 guards entered, tall, armored, their faces hidden behind silver masks. The human comes with us, one said flatly. Mark stood slowly, though his body still carried traces of weakness. His hands were empty, his movements calm, but Sierra could feel the tension in him. He was ready to resist if he had to. Her instincts screamed. She stepped between him and the guards. No, she said firmly. He is still my patient. He is not ready to be moved. The guard stiffened. Doctor, we have our orders. And I have mine, she shot back. Her silver eyes blazed with something they were not used to seeing in a healer. Defiance. I swore to heal, not to hand my patient over like a prisoner. For a moment, silence filled the room. Even Mark was surprised, his eyes widening slightly. The guards exchanged glances. Finally, one said, "Then you are responsible for him. If he harms anyone, the blame will be yours." Sierra's voice did not waver. "Then I accept." The guards left, but the air still crackled with tension. Mark sat back down slowly, shaking his head. "You didn't have to do that," he murmured. "Yes," she said simply. "I did." For a long moment, neither spoke. The hum of the machines filled the silence, steady and soft, like the heartbeat of the room itself. Finally, Mark broke the quiet. "Back home," he said softly, "I was just a soldier, one among thousands. We don't get people standing up for us. Not like that." Her gaze softened. "Then perhaps your home did not see you as I do." He met her eyes, and for the first time she felt something shift. Not just respect, not just gratitude, something deeper, something unspoken. That night she sat beside his bed, unable to leave. She watched him as he drifted into uneasy sleep. And in her mind a question grew louder. Why do I care so much for this one human? The council had chosen fear, but she had chosen faith. And as she sat there, the weight of her decision pressed upon her, heavier than any burden she had carried before. For she knew that soon the council would demand results, and when that time came, she would have to prove that the fire she saw in him was truly light, and not the spark of destruction. The days after the council's order felt heavy, like the silence before a storm. Dr. Sierra stayed close to Mark, watching him heal, guiding him through the slow steps of recovery. His body grew stronger, his movement steadier, but she could see the weight in his eyes. He knew the council would not let things rest. One evening, as the stars glimmered through the high windows of the medical bay, Mark sat beside her in quiet thought. His hands were folded, his gaze distant. Finally, he spoke. "Doc," he said softly, "you don't have to fight for me anymore. If they want me locked up, let them. I'll deal with it." Sierra turned sharply, her silver eyes flashing. "No, I will not abandon you." He gave a weak smile. "You've done more for me than I deserve. I'm just one soldier, one broken piece of a bigger war. If I disappear, the galaxy won't care." Her chest tightened at his words. She reached out, her hand hovering above his before finally resting there. "You are wrong, Mark, you matter. Perhaps not to your leaders, perhaps not to the council, but to me." For a moment he simply stared at her, his breath caught. Then very slowly he nodded. "Then I'll trust you, Doc. Whatever happens next." The storm broke sooner than expected. The next morning the council arrived. Not just 2 guards this time, but a full squad. Their armor gleamed silver under the sterile light, their weapons humming faintly. The elder healer stepped forward, his voice stern. "The human comes with us. This is final." Sierra stood in front of Mark, her cloak trailing across the floor like a barrier of defiance. Her heart pounded, but her voice did not shake. "No, he is not ready. He is still my patient." The elder's eyes narrowed. "This is not medicine, doctor. This is danger." Mark rose slowly from his bed. His body was stronger now, though still scarred. He placed a hand gently on Sierra's shoulder. "It's all right," he murmured. "I won't let them hurt you for me." But the guards advanced. Mark's instincts flared. He had fought soldiers before, and he could fight again. His body tensed, ready to strike. But then he felt Sierra's grip on his arm. Her touch was steady, pleading. "Not violence," she whispered. "Not this time." He froze, struggling against the fire in his blood. Every instinct screamed to fight. But her words anchored him. Slowly, he forced himself still. Sierra turned to the council, her voice rising. "Look at him. Do you not see? He holds the strength to kill, yet he chooses restraint. He could have attacked you. He could have broken free. But he does not. That is not danger. That is choice. That is humanity." The guards hesitated, uncertain. The elder healer's face hardened, but doubt flickered in his eyes. Mark stepped forward now, his voice rough but steady. "You think I'm dangerous? You're right. I am. Humans are. We fight, we bleed, we destroy when we have to. But we also protect. We stand between others and the fire. That's what I did when your people were under attack. I didn't think about myself. I thought about them." His voice grew stronger, his eyes burning with fierce honesty. "If you lock me away, you'll prove you fear strength more than you value sacrifice. But if you let me stay, maybe you'll see that sometimes danger isn't the enemy. Sometimes it's the shield. The hall fell into silence. The council shifted uneasily. The elder healer studied Mark for a long, heavy moment. Then he turned his gaze to Sira. "You would stake your honor on this human?" he asked coldly. Without hesitation, she lifted her chin. "I would stake more than honor. I would stake my life." The room trembled with the weight of her words. Finally, the elder healer sighed, his expression unreadable. "Very well. The human will remain under your care. But know this, Doctor, if he proves us right, if his fire turns to destruction, it will be you who bears the cost." "I accept," Sira said firmly. The guards lowered their weapons. Slowly they filed out, leaving the room heavy with the echo of decision. When the last of them had gone, Mark exhaled shakily. He turned to her, his voice low. "You just risked everything for me." She met his gaze, her silver eyes soft. "No, Mark, I risked everything for what you represent. Hope, courage, the choice to protect even when it costs everything." He swallowed hard, his chest tight. "I don't know what to say." "Then say nothing," she whispered. "Just live. Heal. Show them that I was right to believe in you." Mark looked at her, and for the first time since he had been pulled into this place, he felt something,